Okay, so we are live. So let's see what we are going to do today. This is the top JavaScript question, interview questions that we are going to go through all of it because it's a very long page. So I thought making a live stream would be good for it, and it will also help me to understand all the JavaScript concept. So let's just start with the this repository. I will share this link in my description after we're done with it. So what it is: great front end top JavaScript interview questions. So what it is: 2025 update. So it's a very updated thing, and I think it's a open source repository, so people are constantly updating its content and adding new questions to it. So let's just start with the first concept. So this one. So explain the concept of hoisting in JavaScript. So let's just try to read it through. Hoisting is a JavaScript mechanism where variable and function declaration are moved or hoisted to the top of their containing scope during the compile phase. So here are some ways to declare a function like variable, let, and const, and functions, class, import. This is very tricky one if interview asks for it, because not a lot of people understand this one. So basically the thing I remember about the import is that in the file, wherever we add this import, it will what we say, it will move to the top already. So generally what we think is that to import a function or a module, we need to like use that at the top of the file. First line of the code would be like import something from this file to that file. So it won't necessary if we import it in the last line of the file in the JavaScript. It will take the like import function. I will let's go through all of these practically and how it works. So let's go with the var. So accessing before declaration and declaration. So let's just try to run it. Here is the JS playground. Why it's not? Let's just hard restart it. Okay, something is going terribly wrong. Let's just wait and try to. Okay, it's loaded. So let's do it with var. So where uh, whatever the variable what we name, let's just name it test, which is, I don't think of anything, that's why I made it a test. And let's try to console log it. Console.log test. Now the thing is, it's saying null, but it should, as this suggests, it should give undefined. Let's just try to do this way and see. By running the code, it's still says the null. Okay, fine. Let's just do it with the let thing. I don't know why, but I think it's not, this compiler is not working as expected. So what we do let's just open our VS Code and try to do this example in our code. So let me just open a folder. It would be the interview, and inside I just create another file. Let's just create this js doc dot js. Wow. Okay, so here is our file, here is our terminal to test it, and let's try it another way and just close this tab. Anyway, it's eating up a lot of memory for my Chrome browser. Let's save it and test. So it's giving me the reference error. If I initialize with var, what it gives, let me save first, and okay, it's giving undefined as expected in our JS documentation. And let's try to give it some value and then test it. It should be undefined as expected. Now let's declare it with let's again check what is the um, like error we are giving here. Reference error, it cannot access test before initialization. So it's a reference error we get on the let. And if we try with const, it should give the same error. Yes, we cannot declare test, we cannot access test before initialization. So initialization and declaration, I think, all mean the same. And what we say when we give a value to a variable, what term it is. Let's see. Yes, variable value. Okay, so it just called assignment. Okay, got it. So whenever we um, add some value to a variable, it should be called as assignment, be- because it's an interview question preparation. So we should use valid terminologies and naming conventions. So these two and class. Let's see. For the class, it should always, let's declare class human. Inside it, let's just declare a valid class. There will be a constructor, and constructor we are going to declare this dot name, and name value would be Jack, and we are going to get a function which will be say name, and this function word console log dot log this dot name. So here it is. We'll create a name class. Let's just create, I forgot how we say this expression, like we are like initializing class with new variable dot say name, which is this is going to be like, okay, so reference error is giving me. Let's just remove this. Okay, we are getting the jack. Now what we can do here is, if we are going to do with var, it will be undefined, and undefined dot say name would be, I mean, there will be a it's not a function. I think that would be the error. So let's just try to say above like this. Let's say can't read property of undefined say name. Okay, now just console log it. Console dot log. Let's just try to do it with human. Let's just first try to call it like this. So it's giving me the class human, and if we call this above, it should throw a reference error. Yes, the reference error is human. We cannot access human before initialization. So here is the, so these three, class, const, let and foo, are covered. Now go with the variable, which is mostly this is called function expression, and it's a function declaration. So let's just go with the function declaration. Now we are going to create a function with this keyword function, and the name would be what we I'm very bad at naming things, so let's just use this test as a name, and we are going to console log it like this. So we should get the function test. Now we will use the function declaration. So mostly the function declaration syntax would be like this: where test is equal to a function. Now it should throw undefined, because we are using the test, so it's undefined. If we are using let, it should throw reference error. So here is our reference error, and let's just, this one we should use it, try to test it like import thing. How we can do it, let me think about it. So let's just create a new file, import.js. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to export a function which name would be like another, and we are going to export it right here. And let's just um, remove this thing, and first of all let's just try to import it simple, normal way. Import, what was the thing, from import. So it should be like, okay, so keyword is import, so we are going to do this another function, and we are going to just call it simple like this. So it should it's showing me I have to use .js as well. Okay, now it's given to the function. Now let's just move this thing to below and try to do it like this. Now it's another, it's saying that the function is another is defined, and let's just change something from this file. So for this, we let's say create a variable which name is going to be another, and it's a function expression, and we're just going to export another. Or we can do something like this, which is export. Now what we can do is it should throw undefined or something like this. Another is not defined. Now the thing is, if I move this to the top and save it, it should give me a function. Okay, so import, it's all works normally only if we exporting a function with a function declaration. So this is also hoisted. uh, it's hoisted, so import is always working whenever we what we say, whenever we um, using it below the usage of a function. it was it was giving some error. So it's like what we say, it's hoisted the import thing. So this one thing I used to, I just learned about it a few days ago. So let's just move to another question, which is, what are the difference between JavaScript variables created using let var or const? So in JavaScript, let var and const are keywords used to declare variables, but the difference significantly in terms of initialization rules. So we kind of already know this part because we done this. So for variable, it should be global. Okay, so let me test it another way. So it was throwing me the error, right? The if input was below it, it was throwing me error. But what if I'm going to declare this another with not variable, with global variable? So like this. Now we can export it like another and try to call this. It shouldn't throw error, but it is. It's not defined in module. Okay. Now I got it. So it should be like export default another. Let's just call it again and see the same error that I'm going to get. And what is the error? Syntax error. The request module does not provide an export named another. Okay. uh, let's just export it like this. Declaration or statement is expected. Okay, we should declare it with var or something like that. Only then it will work. So how I'm going to test my logic? So let's just take this function right here and like this, but at this time we are not going to call anything, so it's a global variable. Another is not defined, so let's just create a global variable which is another, and its value would be test. Let's see what it's going. Another is not defined. Okay, so global variable in this type of JavaScript is not working. So let's just leave it as it is. So let and const are block scoped, and initialization is optional for var and let. Const initialization is required, and redeclaration for variable is yes, and for let no. And okay, so reassignment is also for var and let would be yes, and for the const would be no, because the const is, as the name suggests, it's a const, so we cannot assign anything else to it. Accessing before declaration, so it's going to be undefined, a reference error, reference error. Now the one thing that I'm miss here is using global variable, because the thing is that um, in sometimes, like if we like declare here uh, let me just uh, open this console and declare a variable right here. In the console we are going to declare a variable without using any declaration like var, let and const. So test would be name, right? Now if I access test, it should give me name. If you notice this, I have not declared it with anything, not with var, let and const, even though it e- even if I'm not declaring with anything, it still gives me. So it's called a global variable, I think. So this thing is clear. mm, we should already know this thing. What is the difference between double equal and triple equal in JavaScript? So it checks the type, it doesn't check the type. Loose equality operator, strict equality operator. Okay, so these are, I think, simply the um, easier types of question, basic types of question. So we should jump to the advanced right away, so what we can learn the things that we don't know already, right? So we start with the advanced stuff. So let's just search here advanced. Right here, so many advanced. Okay, it's already declared here, right? Intermediate and advanced, so it should go and reference this part. So, and the advanced, what is a use strict in JavaScript for? What are JavaScript polyfills for? What are iterator and generators in JavaScript, and what they're used for? Okay, so these are, I think, uh, hard level questions. So we should start with that. So we're going to start with the use strict. So use strict is a statement used to enable strict mode to entire script or individual functions. Strict mode is way to opt into a restricted variant of JavaScript. So as I remember, uh, we declared a variable with test, right? Like this, test, which has a name like this, and we can access it again and again. But let's just try to clear it I just create everything and use here, use strict, like this. Now, now the spelling is correct, I think. Okay, where does it go? Okay, use strict. Now we'll define a variable with first name is going to be first, whatever it is. Now we will access this first name like this. It's also giving me first, so it doesn't work on like console log. So let's just go right back to this question. Statement used to enable strict mode to entire script or individual functions. Strict mode is a way to opt into a restricted variant of JavaScript. Advantage makes it impossible to accidentally create a global variable. Okay, makes assignment which would otherwise silently fail throw an exception. Okay, so the thing is, reading this won't help us very much. We should use examples. So let's just create an example out of this question, as many as possible to understand it properly. Okay, so let's just give it and ask for, I want to learn through examples, like this. So as I tried to test it earlier in strict, this thing won't work. This direct assignment of a variable is not going to work. Now prevent accidental globals. This one is new. So like this. So let's just test this function in our file. So in our file we just add this, and what we are going to do, first remove this part and test it first. So in non-strict mode, a would become a global variable. Strict mode blocks this. So same thing is above. The strict mode would block it and give you the reference error. So let's just try to run this code with a strict mode. So it giving me a reference error. Reference a is not defined. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so console dot log, let's just use CLO with a, right? Without strict mode it should give us a value of a, which is 5, and if you're using the strict mode, then it won't, it will throw us a reference error, a is not found, which is good. The second one is fail on silent errors. Okay, so if we are doing object.freeze, let's just do it without a strict mode. So let's just console this thing, object and I just comment this out. Now the thing is, input unexpected end of input. Why it's giving me this error? Okay. It's not giving me the error. Say, so if we are doing this object.freeze and we are implementing this, uh, updating the value, because on object.freeze we cannot update a value of an object, so it should remain the 1 to 3, but this thing will confuse the programmer, and it should not be like this. So if you use the use strict mode, it should give me an error. Yes. So cannot assign to a read-only property prop of object. Okay, so it's helpful in that regard. Okay, so third example is, if we are uh, assigning to this object.freeze property, 1 second, let me just exit the stream. I will come back